welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell, the video presented by Connors and Ferris. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the podcast channel, as well as share with a friend if you enjoy our content.
B-E-A, beautiful day.
I mean, if you could bottle up this day.
We don't have to whisper.
Weather,
there are no players behind us.
There's no players behind us. It is gorgeous out here. Practice today at Orchard Park. Kind of a big week, right?
A little bit. We'll start with what Mike McDaniel had to say. He said that if you can't get motivated for a game like this, then you should check your pulse or make a career adjustment.
Yeah.
It's a shame this game's at 1 o'clock.
I agree. I was like, can they flex games this early in the season?
They can't.
They can't, but it would have been cool if they
Would have
could.
been awesome.
I was going to say, Sunday, Bills, Dolphins, and there's always going to be talk about this game.
Yeah.
Division rivalry. I mean, the fact that how well the Dolphins are playing, but them coming off scoring 70 points.
70. Wait, they just scored another touchdown against Denver.
I believe, I will say that's obviously what's going to dictate what we talked about today, but it was so much talk about just how fast this offense is.
First off, Sean McDermott, I thought, was almost comical.
He was lighthearted. He was lighthearted.
Lighthearted, because I think he's looked at some of this film the last 72 hours. He was the first one that was aware before they left DC. He said, he was asked about the win and all these things, and he's like, hey, Dolphins just scored 70-something points, so, it's going to be a long week.
Yeah.
He was asked about it on Monday on the Zoom, and he was asked about it again today, where it was almost to the point where he's like, we keep asking, how do you slow down the pre-snap motion? How do you slow down the speed? And he's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It's so funny because usually it's like the 24-hour rule where we're only going to talk about what happened in the game, the victory, whatever. Yeah, when a team scores 70 points, it's like all you're going to do is talk about it. But I
think the one thing that really stood out to me is that he was asked, very rarely, it's very inside baseball to talk about what the scout team does and how they affect things.
Yeah.
But listen to what Sean McDermott had to say when asked about how do you prepare for the amount of speed that the Dolphins will have on Sunday.
Yeah, if you can get a couple Usain Bolts, and we'll bring them in tell Brandon we'll bring him in for a week and run scout team with about 3 or 4 of those guys. I think that gives us a good look right there.
Yeah, so I don't think Usain Bolt is he hasn't been seen in Orchard Park. No, wait, he was just at Duff's on Sheridan. That's where he was. He was just spotted there.
That was really good.
But it's a challenge because maybe Andy Isabella plays part of that role, and maybe he does try and pretend to be Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But then you don't have anybody to prepare for who's Raheem Mostert, and you don't have anybody to prepare for Jalen Waddle. It's a massive test.
Yeah. There's a lot of speed. And we talked to Sean just about how do you slow that down? And it's not flashy, but he's like, fundamentals are huge. And I hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because there's so much talk about the speed. It's like to keep them, have it just be a 5-yard gain instead of a 55-yard gain, making sure you're tackling, being disciplined, all that stuff that's not as cool to talk about is hey, that guy's a burner.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I think that is going to be key. And let's be real, this Bills defense had a great defensive showing last week. And there's something you can take from every game.
Yeah, the last 18 drives, I looked it up, that the Bills have faced defensively since the Raiders scored the opening drive touchdown. 18 drives, they have 9 sacks, they have forced 8 turnovers, and they have allowed 6 points.
Is that good?
As Larry David would say, it's pretty good. Pretty good. So, but this is it's a whole different animal. It's a whole different beast. Most importantly, because Sam Howell held on to the ball for a long time. That was part of what allowed 9 sacks to get there. Right now, Tua's getting the ball out so quickly. They are so quick off the line, and you can't really jam the receivers because you're afraid of them running past you. So you have to kind of give them a cushion. Give yourself a cushion.
Yeah.
Well, then they can throw it right underneath you. And then 5-yard passes turn into 15-yard gains.
Yes, exactly.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm curious to see how Sunday will go.
Yeah.
And there's been so much talk about this Dolphins team. I think if you're a Miami fan, you wanted the postseason to start next week.
Yes.
And it's scary where this team is at and what, the fact that there's so much season left. But there's so much talk about this Dolphins team. It does remind me of the old cliche of like steak and sizzle. Of like, this is a Miami team that's been so hot. The Bills have played well. They played well, and their defense has been kind of leading the way in terms of that. So what will Sunday bring? But you talk about Tua getting out the ball so fast. To be able to get the pressure that the Bills' defensive line needs to get, it's like if he's getting the ball out, that's a great way to neutralize all of that.
Yeah. You just can't get to him. You want to disrupt things.
Yes.
And when I talked to Taron Johnson about how do you play that way? How do you combat speed? We talked about Sean McDermott saying fundamental.
Yeah.
Taron said be physical. And that is something that we saw. I think it goes back to last year. I think it was the Denver game when their season kind of flipped, obviously as part of Tua being injured, but teams started to jam them at the line. Easier said than done.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of throw off that rhythm, Tua is still a guy that wants to throw to his first read.
Yeah.
He still is a guy that says, that's the guy I want to go to. So if you can get him off that first read, I don't know how to do that. I'm not the one. And like I said, when Sean McDermott was asked about it this week, like, how do you do it? And he's like, nobody's figured it out yet this year through 3 games.
Yeah.
But if you can do that, I think that's the puncher's chance of doing it. But I don't think this is going to be some low-scoring game, Jen. I really don't.
No, I don't either. And I think the Bills' best defense is having the Bills' offense out on the field. It's a cliche, but I do think we've seen some of those long, sustained drives against Washington. And Josh was asked about just how important that is. And, he's not going to give away too much, but at the same point, I think it's important because they can't score if they're not on the field.
They can't score.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, that's exactly it. And this is a week, and Dan Orlovsky was talking about it on One Bills Live, and he seems like he's made a weekly appearance, and he's so good.
He's very good.
He was the first one, again, I think there are very few people I respect more talking about the quarterback position than Orlovsky. And he talked about after week 1, Josh had to grow up, right? That was the whole thing of like, you hold everybody's job in your hands and the franchise in your hands. You can't turn the ball over. He talked about this week, we're going to have to see some crazy Josh.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to just kick field goals and beat the Dolphins. In theory. You know what I'm saying? So he said you're going to have to let the leash go on Josh a little bit, and you're going to have some of those plays that we all go, no, yeah, good throw, Josh, that a boy. Like, you're going to, and
attaboys.
And we saw it off script. Right in the opening drive, the pass to Stephon Diggs was incredible.
That was insane.
But this is going to be, like, Josh dominates the Dolphins.
I was gonna bring that up.
I was going to say, I don't know if they've already started inscribing Offensive Player of the Week, but Josh has 11 of them. I think 9 of them have been against Miami.
I know, too. This team must love that everyone's talking about the Dolphins.
I think so.
They must eat that up. And if I'm Sean McDermott, I'm absolutely playing into that.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't think you can do it. You are nothing in the division. This is a Dolphins team that's going to be the one to beat. But I will say, not to be like the Debbie Downer here, but this game, it's October 1st, right? But in the division, that's huge.
Yeah.
This is a huge matchup.
Yeah. Week 18 is going to be massive.
Yeah.
But there's a lot in between Sunday and Week 18. But falling to 0-2 in the division
is scary. That's a bad spot to be in. And if you don't have to do it, I knew that Jets loss. Hopefully that doesn't bite.
Remember when the sky was falling?
Yeah, I do.
After the Jets game?
Yeah, I do.
Not so much anymore.
No, but I also think it's a very reactionary league. So depending on how the game goes on Sunday.
I got a hot take.
Oh.
And this
Let him cook.
No, this is part of a Catalana take, too.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing the Dolphins scored 70.
I agree. I agree.
It's almost a little bit comical.
Yeah.
That it's like...
They think they're untouchable. If I were them,
so.
I would think I was untouchable.
And I love the right amount of Bills players, Sean McDermott being like, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
70. Ed Oliver was like, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like watching, he goes, I think every play they scored.
Yeah.
Because we watched the film, you're in disbelief.
Yeah.
I think they're feeding it. I think they're like, hey, yeah, like you guys take your flowers. Yeah, you guys are great. All these things.
I agree. I think that's the way to play. It's not who you play, but when you play them.
Mm-hmm.
That's also when you play them.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's both of those things.
It's almost like you used up too many points. You scored too many goals in a hockey game. You scored too many. You have too many runs in a baseball game. You're like, oh, save some of those for the next game.
I think realistically, if I were me, I scored that many points, I'd be like, I got it. Like, you would be like, no, I need to focus.
Yeah.
But your focus is not the same.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
We're adults. You focus differently when you think you got stuff in the bag as opposed to when you're like, hey, this is going to be really challenging, all this stuff.
It's speed.
Confidence is a hell of a drug.
Don't want to get too much drugs.
He's like, "What? You're going?"
Yeah, I didn't know.
You know what?
One final thing. Obviously, we talk a lot about the Dolphins. You talk about the offense needing to step up. This Christian Wilkins, Josh Allen rivalry.
It's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun.
I think it's exactly fun.
I love that Josh talks smack.
I've heard a lot of players. I mean, you hear about when Josh was on the top 10 or whatever the top 100 players list. They were like, he's one of the biggest trash talkers there is.
I love that.
And
Give
I know
me that.
and I know Josh wants to be more smarter with the football and be a quarterback, but like Josh is Josh, and part of that. And yesterday, Christian Wilkins, who they have gotten in all kinds of over the years, interesting, interesting interactions on the field. Some guy Wilkins tried to grab him. Josh ripped his helmet off the one time in the end of the huddle. You can just search on X, you'll see it. But Wilkins was talking about it yesterday and said, "I love Josh. We're tight. We're close. I love it. He's a competitor, all these things." And Josh said, like, you do love going up against those kind of rivalries and this kind of magnitude of this game. And I asked him, like, "Are you guys tight?" And he's like, "No, I'm not really." He goes, "I respect him." He goes, "I respect that we can go at it on the field and respect each other once the game's over."
Yeah.
I don't know how much they respect each other when the game's over, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think they like each other.
I don't think they like each other either.
And I love it.
They don't have to like each other, though.
Nope.
I love it. You have an edge when you play against someone you don't like. That's how it works.
Yep. I know.
There's so much emotion that goes into this. They can try to be robots, all that stuff, but there's so much emotion.
And what was your favorite, Alan?
Oh, he's like, I thought they would have played or would have paid him.
They didn't.
They didn't.
He brings a lot of juice.
I love that because that's so subtle. Such a little.
And look, Wilkins is a really good defensive tackle.
He is, absolutely.
And it's kind of like the Bills have Jordan Phillips, which I'm sure if you're playing against him, you're just annoyed when he's pumping up the crowd and all of those things.
Yeah.
He's got that Draymond Green effect.
I can see that.
Where he annoys the hell out of you when he's on the opposing team, but when he's on your team, you're like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, it's
like the Bills fans love Jordan Phillips. He's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Not the other fans. So I think that's something to watch, keeping Josh level while also understanding, he says it's just week 4. It's it's a lot more than week 4 in my opinion.
It is, but I was going to ask him, like, the person to me was like, "Hey, are you nervous? Do you get nervous?" But I'm like, that's crazy to ask Josh Allen that because I think he gets nervous before every game. But I'm like, it's week 4.
Yeah.
It's week 4.
It's a big week 4 though.
Yeah, it is. All right. Anything else?
No.
Bueller?
Bueller? Didn't have to whisper today.
I know.
Make sure the audio's turned up. I'll make sure of it.
Yeah, we're probably just overmodulated now.
Probably.
All right, well, thank you for watching. Be sure to join us on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. We have our Buffalo Plus show on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. For Mike, who's in the studio, Dan, I'm Jenna. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a Bills fan if you think they would enjoy.
Comment in your feelings going into this game.
Yeah.
Nervous, excited. I've seen a lot of people say Denver stinks. It's not that impressive. They scored 70 points. I've seen a lot of people say.
There is a little bit to I think there is something to that, but...
Comment in your vibes going into the game.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we're done.